Also, quite a lot going on in the country about security and what is being done, both at the federal. Don't forget, the Southwest, speaking of saying that they're going to set up a security outfit to combat the challenges they face there. The Southeast Governors Forum also have their meeting talking about what they intend to do, how they intend to combat all of those. And then we're still waiting for that recommendation by the NHIS to also see what recommendations will they submit to the president concerning security, policing inclusive, and add to that the community policing policy of the government, which is it's quite a lot. If you saw the dailies as well, the Taraba police killings is just quite a number. But we'll see how much of those we can focus on this morning when we eventually get our guest in from Abuja.
It continues to be an interesting dynamic when this meeting by the Southwest governors took place some 2 months or thereabout ago, and if all we have now is that it's still going to happen, then most certainly, one would, continue to wonder. So what is happening? What do people now do now? It's like people might resort to self-help.
Well, the thing is this. I mean, the governors, they have their members in the National Assembly because time and again we raise this question. So why do they come in at it from having a regional security outfit from different areas, different parts of the country? So as opposed to them saying, look, can we approach this nationally? Or are we playing the ostrich by not broaching that topic and saying, okay, look, National Assembly, this is what we may need to do. But if they're not doing it, then the states have got to do what they have to do, because while they play politics, they have to secure lives and property. All right, I think we'll go to Abuja now and see what they think of it. Nakwe?
Yes, indeed. Mr. Lawrence Alobe is here with us. He's the former Commissioner of Police here in the Federal Capital Territory. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Thank you. Good morning, Nigeria.
Good morning. I don't know which one of, as Timberland did say there, it's a plethora of issues. Nigerians, Salah break is just over, and I'm sure a lot of people traveled, but I'm sure they did, with some of them with some apprehension. For some people it was a risk that they just had to take. And we see that some state governors are not happy about it, and they're trying to do something about it. I think about 2 weeks ago, or thereabouts, we saw the Enugu state government come up with forest guards. They were employing about 1,000 forest guards. We're hearing in the Southwest that they're thinking of coming up with a security apparatus. What are your thoughts on some of the measures that, state governors are coming up with to try and take care of the security situation, in addition to what you think the federal government or the federal security institutions might be doing?
Yeah, thank you very much. Section 214 of the 1999 Constitution as amended provides that there shall be only one police force, and that is Nigerian Police Force. And again, section 1 of the Constitution says that if any other law that contravenes the Constitution is ab initio null and void. Yes, the governors have a responsibility, as per under Section 14 of the Constitution, which says that prime purpose of government is security and well-being of the citizens. And the governors have taken an oath to defend and uphold the Constitution and to ensure the citizens under their states are protected and that property is guaranteed or that being maintained. That is their function, their primary function as governors of state. They cannot take initiative, but not to make it as if it's a police force that will compete with the statutory Nigerian Police Force that is created by the Constitution under Section 214. And again, they will not begin to come as competing with the police force. So whatever group that is being created has to be supervised, maybe recruited, vetted, supervised by the police and monitored by the police. One, to avoid excesses. We've had cases where you see some of these agencies, non-state actors, secreted by some governments, being engaged in extrajudicial killing, jungle justice. They arrest people without investigating the matter, whether the person is guilty or not, start beating him or assaulting him, or in time they may not being burned to death or killed. So these are some things they need to ensure that this is a democracy where the rule of law should always be upheld. And the human rights of the citizens also is key. It's the key factor, key core value of democracy. So they can, but that will be regulated by the police. Because otherwise it will be abused, and it will be also bring conflict between the police and church agency. Like what is happening today in the country between Nigerian police and the army. Because the army under Section 217 are supposed, like other security agencies, are supposed to come and aid the police, and not to usurp or take over the function of the police. I mean, Mr. President, that section also gives Mr. President the power to direct the armed forces, the army, when you're down, to come in aid of the police. And what if you come to aid me, I will tell you where I need help, what I need assistance. Not to come and or usurp my function and make me irrelevant and make me consequential. No, you have, because you have your own money, you have my mandate. The police also, the Police Act, is supposed to, the Act says, police has the function to carry out military duties in and outside Nigeria. But the police have not gone to take over military functions. They're working hand in hand. Like now, they're also involved in fighting Boko Haram in insurgency in the northeast. But the police don't go to usurp functions of the military. So I find that whatever agency, whatever outfit is being created, that will be regulated by the police, and it has to be abide by those guidelines and rules of engagement given by the police. Otherwise, it will be a problem. But then it's also good that regional cooperation, integration effort, even globally. You have countries come together, bilateral cooperation on military affairs, regional ECOWAS and so forth. So it's a good thing that, because these governors of the Southwest, they are the ones who feel they have a duty to their citizens. And they cannot just fold their hands and see their citizens being murdered, being killed, and security so it's not granted. So it's a step in the right direction, but it has to be handled in line with the process of the law.
Okay. So I mean, things like, for instance, I give the example of the forest guard, because you have given a whole load of answer to just one question. You brought in fears of abuse. You've talked about the constitutional provisions which creates the police, and also the Section 217 which creates the army as well. And you've talked about the powers, and you're afraid of abuse. You've made an example of the Taraba situation as well. I'm just wondering, would you say that the fear of abuse should then keep us, from doing what it is that we need to do? Because some people will say that so far so good. Abuse is the exception. The rule generally is that these people, these other groups that are formed, either as vigilantes or what have you, are sometimes very effective. Just the same way we have what they call that now, the civilian JTF in the Northeast. The military would tell you that they have been very useful in helping to keep the peace when territories have been conquered by the military.
You see, there's a lacuna, because there's a serious gap. The serious gap is that the government and people of Nigeria have failed to equip and equip Nigerian police force, fund the Nigerian police force, give Nigerian society, the Nigerian nation, the required manpower, police manpower they need to police the state, to police the country. That's the problem. If the police are well funded, well equipped, well trained, having the adequate manpower, the UN standard is just 400 policemen, 4 citizens to 1 policeman. Look at, so we have about 2 million Nigerians. The police is less than 400,000. Strength of the police. Then how can they police that with all the demands? Everybody needs protection. Everybody needs protection. Everybody. So the police itself is overstretched, and the police is operating in a, when I say ineffective, that JTF is very effective, that is effective. That's, for me, I see that as it's absurd. Because if you have a police force that is well equipped, well trained, well catered for, and appreciated, they'll perform wonders. They'll meet the needs of the security needs of the country. After the show of this country, I was in charge of federal operations, in charge of peacekeeping for 5 years in the Nigerian police force, and we excel. International engagement.
Let me
see, even in America, you see, there's under the act called Posse Comitatus Act 1878, the military, the army, the air force, and the navy are prohibited from getting involved in police and law enforcement in internal security. It is an act, not just based on convention or what they like. But here, though the constitution says Mr. President can deploy the military to aid. But now they're not more, they are now usurp the functions, and the military too don't have regard for the police. They don't have regard for the police. So that ego, go and say, that can I go? That is what is creating the problem. There's no trust, suspicion, there's blackmail, you know, that kind of a thing. They don't trust. And if two agencies...
Let's bring in our second guest here. Captain Bish Johnson just joined us. He is a former U.S. Army officer and also a security consultant. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Thank you, Mope.
Well, you have heard some of the submissions of Mr. Alobi here. We're looking at the fact that some state governors are, you know, thinking of creating some other security apparatus to look after security in their regions. In fact, some state governors have come up with some, let's say, apparatus. For instance, the Enugu state governor recently came up with forest guards. We understand they are employing about 1,000 of them to go into the forests of Enugu and ensure that, you know, citizens are safe. What do you make of all of this, formations in the wake of security crisis, and also in the wake of some of the abuses, because Mr. Alobi is very concerned about the abuses that could come up as a result of this other extra security agencies?
Well, Mope, you've always known my position on that. I've always supported the idea of having state police and stuff like that. But we have to do it within the legal framework. Right now, the Constitution only allows the Nigerian police for the internal security of this country. If the state governors are going to go that route, we have to follow a legal way of doing it so that they will have the legal backers and be able to build the necessary capacity, have the necessary training to be able to do that, to play that role. But let me come back to the issue of abuse. Mope, I have to tell you that I am very, very saddened. Between the last time I spoke on this Taraba killings and today, I've had additional information made available to me. And I can tell you that the position of the Nigerian army has fallen flat on its face. The position of the Nigerian army cannot be supported by the evidence on the ground. A crime has taken place here. They have extrajudiciously killed our police officers. The same way I have condemned unnecessary killings of Nigerians by police, I condemn unnecessary killing of our policemen by our soldiers. And I will condemn unnecessary killing of our soldiers by anyone. The Nigerian army needs to stand up and own up to what has happened in Taraba State. That is unacceptable. We reject it. Those officers who were responsible for this need to be apprehended. They need to be made public. They need to be handed over to the police, whose constitutional responsibility it is to investigate criminal activities in this country. There is nobody who is above the law in this country, not even the soldiers, nobody. Everyone must be within the rule of law and the confines of law.
So
when
this investigation, we understand, is already going on by the defense headquarters, mandated, just a moment, mandated by the president. And from what we gather, they have already started work. And we know that oftentimes when there is any allegation against the military, they like to conduct their own internal, what they call that now. There's a name for it now. Their orderly trial.
That's orderly room trial.
No, that's for the police. I think the military, they have another one that they do.
Court martial.
Court martial. Would that not be sufficient?
Completely insufficient. Because this is a matter, look, court martial is when you break uniform code of military justice. Yes, it's something internal. We're not talking about internal something here now. We're talking about extrajudicial killing of our police officers by members of Nigerian army. So court martial cannot work. You remember when they had the issue in Port Harcourt, I told them we need an independent investigation because I didn't trust the army to carry out proper investigation till today. Have we heard anything about what happened in Rivers State during the election? We have not. So this panel that they set up is dead on arrival. You cannot be a judge in your own matter.
No. This is not a panel set up by the army. This is a panel set up by the president.
But comprised of military officers.
And the police. And the police.
Let me tell you what, Mope, let me tell you what needs to happen here. I don't even want the police in that panel. I don't want the army in that panel. What we need is a judicial panel of inquiry that is completely neutral and completely independent, that we have broad powers to seek whatever information they need from the police and whatever information they need from the army are made available to the Nigerian people.
Okay, just a moment. I think I have to hold you on. Why? Because you just said that additional information that was made known to you. You haven't made this additional information known to the public for them to know why you have taken the stance that you have taken. You saw the video. Yes.
You've seen the newspaper headlines that this captain who gave the order to extrajudiciously eliminate our police officers had been chatting with this kidnapper for 191 times. Is that not sufficient enough to tell you that these people are culpable in what happened? It is. The same very captain that gave order to open fire, this people's vehicle was up, they shot them from behind. The driver lost control, the vehicle somersaulted, everyone in that vehicle was disoriented, and you still went ahead to execute them? Do you have to kill them when you could have arrested them at risk-free and they will become a trove of intelligence and investigation for you? You didn't have to kill them. Even those who were alive, they could not even call in medics to evacuate these people to the hospital where they will get treatment. This is not the conduct of a professional military. I must tell you that. The United States military would not do that. We must, when somebody survives, you have a responsibility as a soldier to ensure that that person is taken to the hospital for medical treatment. These police officers were not enemy combatants. This is not happening in theater of war. This is happening in our cities. Why should they have killed those people? Until today, Nigerian army has not answered some critical questions that the Nigerian police has posed to them. Where is the kidnapper? How did a kidnapper that was handcuffed and leg cuffed escape? As I speak to you today, the rifles of those police officers are still in the possession of Nigerian army. As I talk to you today, the kidnapper whereabouts is unknown. As I speak with you today, the person who they said gave them the information, who called them on the phone, where is he? Because it's quite clear that the information that was provided to the army is false and misleading. So when you provide false information intentionally and deliberately to law enforcement, you'll be held responsible for that. Where is the guy? Why can't the army provide that person? Why has the army not identified the officers that were involved in this killing?
Well, as we said, it would seem that investigation is going on. But let me take you up on this one.
Investigation going on.
Mr. Alubi, let me take you up on this one because right now the Nigerian, we understand that this was leaked. The Nigerian Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Buratai, has told his men to be careful in their dealings with the Nigerian police. He says that with all of the statements flying out, it would seem that some people could become aggressive towards the personnel of the Nigerian army. What are your thoughts on this? It does go to point to the handling of this particular matter by, we would say, both parties, both the Nigerian army and the police as well.
Yeah, I saw yesterday newspapers, mostly this day, that the Chief of Army Staff wants the army personnel to keep away from police, to avoid reprisal and so forth, and that they should be going out in mufti instead of uniform. You see, we should thank the Inspector General of Police Adamu for two decisions he took. For he sent messages to all police formation and commands that all police officers men should remain calm and go about the lawful duties, and that appropriate action is being taken to address the issue. Two, by also setting up a high manpower panel or investigative team headed by a DIG to investigate the matter. That is how at least sway the names of the police officer. Policemen were angry all over the country. And it is that action that calmed down the situation from a Nigerian could experience a bloodbath or a situation that could have snowballed to a magnitude that we wouldn't be able to contain or control. And that would be too dangerous for our democracy and for our government. And then again, nobody's an island. The army and the police, in terms of internal security, they come to help the police. The efforts concerned with the air, the navy, the sea, and so forth. The army and the police, no way they can do without working together. And you cannot say you cannot relate with the police. Even if you leave the army, you'll still be a Nigerian citizen. They'll be policed by whatever be policed by the police. So I think asking that the army should keep up is not the answer. For me, it is not an issue of blaming the victim now. The army is blaming the police. It's blaming the victim syndrome. The army is saying that the police did not follow the proper procedure, they didn't form their command. No, in the police investigative administrative procedure, when anybody leaving any information to any other division, you have what a letter called AR 3000 Investigative Activities Authority. You must go with that letter, whatever formation, even within the same command, you're going to a different division, you must go with that letter. It's a standard procedure in Nigerian police force. And two, the Nigerian police force is the authorized authority to investigate criminal offenses. This is capital offense, murder. And the issue of talking about the panel to investigate. Panel, then if the panel, how will they build their evidence? Is it admissible in court? It's not admissible in court. They only need to advise the government on what to do, maybe to prevent future occurrence. But ensure that in terms of legal process, we're in democracy. The rule of law has to be followed. So the police is the only authority that has to investigate criminal offenses, and also murder, which is a capital offense, which is not compatible. Okay, assuming now the panel comes out with the recommendation, what happens? It is an abuse of the legal process because it means they don't take the appropriate action. So the police have a duty to investigate criminal offenses, not that institution. Criminal offenses is the police. And whatever they recommend it is, the police now will try to go for prosecution. It's the court will not determine whether everything that has been adduced is enough to find the accused or suspect culpable. And the court now take the decision. That is the law, the judicial procedure. So panel is just a small screen to deceive people.
So you have no confidence in the panel that the president has asked to be set up?
With due respect.
Yes.
That what I'm saying, this is murder, not just a judicial process to fact-finding and make recommendation to government. After recommendation to government, what happens at the end? What's the end result? What will be achieved? You mean that the case that's the end of the matter? That is accompanying the murder of 3 policemen who are there to defend Nigeria, defending people, defending people from kidnappers, who have made so many good cases, breakthroughs in the country. Their lives have been sacrificed. And now talking about panel. I think what they should do is let the police investigate the authorized by law to investigate the matter. Even at the end of the matter is sent to the court. Let the court decide. So talking about panel, Air Force officers are not trained to investigate cases. Military officers are not trained. Army officers are not trained to investigate cases, not criminal cases. No, naval officer. This is the police that have been trained. They have the skill and capacity to investigate under the law.
Okay.
So the law should not be.
Some people might say anyway. Some people might say that with the way the police already feels, I mean, it would seem that it might not. It would just jump to conclusions. It might. The temptation.
Follow the law. Let the law take the course.
Because if you're already posing questions, and we're seeing headlines which says, accept responsibility for killing our personnel, police tell army. It already means, it would seem that a conclusion has already been reached here, in spite of an investigation.
It will be facts that will be adduced to authenticate whatever.
Well, let me say one thing.
Let us go on break. We'll come back and we'll wrap up this conversation in a moment. Please stay with us. We're still focusing on security right now, especially in the light of the skirmish between, it's more than a skirmish actually, between the military and the police. An ongoing investigation, reports by the Chief of Army Staff that the military personnel should be careful how they deal with police officers. We're also looking at plans by state governors to set up other security apparatus in their states to help combat rising insecurity. We have with us this morning Mr. Lawrence Alobi, who is a former commissioner of police in the FCT, and Captain Bish Johnson, who is a former U.S. Army officer and also a security consultant. We'll now take this conversation to Lagos, where other members of the team are standing by. Gentlemen.
Yes, my question is to Mr. Alobi, and it's got to do with the police. I know you did give some recommendations concerning, 4 citizens to 1 policeman and some of those stats. But concerning the operations of the police, did you take into cognizance while you were making your point about how overstretched they are? Because many have said time and again that the police themselves need to look at their operations in terms of how they deploy. So what about all of those policemen who are deployed to politicians? Many of the opinion, look, if that were to address, wouldn't that address and significantly too the challenge of manpower within the police force?
It says police deployment is based on need, security need, and the police have a duty under Section 4 of the police to protect life and property, maintain law and order, no, investigate crime and prosecute crime, criminal cases. An issue of giving protection to politicians, I think protection of life and property, somebody come and report you that his life is being threatened, and the policeman will the police officer will not just say, no, your life is not being threatened. He's been attacked and killed, and evidence adduced that he made a complaint to the police that life is being threatened. What happens? The police will be blamed for negligence or failing to perform their duties. You see, the point is that the police are actually overstretched. No police officer worked less than 12 hours in a day. No police officer in the country. Some work even beyond 12 hours. And they're not paid anything extra as allowance for that extra hour. Other departments, if you work more than 8 hours, you're being given allowance and so forth. And again, the police is grossly understaffed, grossly underfunded, undertrained, ill-equipped, and not even appreciated by both the people and the government of this country. And even look at, why should a policeman be killed by an army officer? On what ground, what basis? I'm not provoked murder, and he said he wants to put a panel to investigate. How can I put panel? It is a criminal matter, a capital offense. That is why they are playing to the gallery and using sentiment.
Okay, but Mr. Alobi, so, I know that, yeah, one can be emotional about some of those matters, but yes, there's a committee that is looking into that to ensure that they address those issues headlong, so not that it's been left unattended. But then, while you raise these challenges about funding, we also do know that some time ago, the president did announce that they were going to increase the salaries of policemen. One, did that happen? Are you aware of that? And secondly, did you make recommendations while you were in the force concerning these challenges that you have highlighted?
Of course, you see, the point is that the police, like in example, in this country, the police is like an orphan. Nobody to defend, to help the police. But I'm only happy that in this present incident, Nigerians are all aggrieved. And the media is also out to ensure that the right thing is done. That is, I'm so happy. Because we cannot continue like this. You see, all these things, when they talk about increasing salary, it's not only the needs. Today in this country or the world today, security and policing is technologically driven, it's intelligence driven, and technology can only be procured with funds. You cannot procure intelligence, even intelligence information without funds. You see, we need funding, equipment, capacity building, a gadget to ensure that they are empowered. Look at an army that is an American police officer while on duty. It's well kitted. Look at the police officer in Nigeria. What kit does he have? At the highest is AK-47 or a walkie-talkie. That's all. Even in protective gear, it doesn't have it. So the police need to be well equipped, protected, and even appreciated. For instance, I respect and appreciate Chief of Army Sergeant Butai, Lieutenant General Butai. He's an intelligent man, very dynamic and creative. But for saying that military soldiers should avoid police formation, avoid relating with the police, I don't think that is right. The military are not trained for crisis management and conflict resolution. The police are trained for conflict resolution, crisis management, and so forth. Because we deal with crisis every day.
Yeah, but isn't that common sense?
No, not common sense. You must have the skill. You must have the capacity.
What I mean is that his directive to the military, isn't it common sense?
It is common sense to achieve the problem, solve the problem. It's problem-solving approach to issues. That is the most important thing. Okay. Problem-solving.
Okay, Chamberlain is still on.
Yeah,
I'm still just focusing on the operations of the police. I mean, this might be a good opportunity because don't forget that before the unfortunate incident happened, of which they are still investigating, there had been a lot of cry from Nigerians about the conduct of policemen, how they treat Nigerians as well. So, does the police review their operational tactics, and when last did that happen? Do you think that this will make the police introspect and take on board those complaints that Nigerians have about how the police relate to them on a regular basis, such that it will improve, the harassment will stop, they'll be a lot more professional when they relate to citizens out there?
Professionalism is acquired through capacity building, training on the job and so forth. And this training requires capital, requires funding. If a police officer who is not trained is a threat to himself, threat to the institution, and threat to society. So we need to train our policemen, and that requires funding. If we train the policemen, and issue of operational guidelines, that is, it's laid down procedure, rules of engagement. First Order 237 indicates when you can use a firearm. If any police officer uses firearm in violation of that act, that first order, no police formation will ever shield you. You'll be tried in the room, and if found guilty, you'll be dismissed and handed over for trial. But it doesn't happen in other agencies. Other people will shield that the army is trying to do now. If it is the police, if this happened to the police will definitely. Let me ask. Supposing that it was the police that killed soldiers, what do you think will happen today? You think even Mr. Bratai gave army don't do anything, they will listen? They must go. They will invade police stations, attack police stations. Look what happened in Calabar, where the Navy invaded the police station, burned the police station, killed 2 policemen, burned police patrol vehicles for unprovoked action. So this happened. I was personally shot in Calabar by naval officer in my police station at 11 p.m. on a Sunday, precisely 3rd September 1990. So the point is that this unprovoked attack should stop. You know, it is not that the police are doing that. The police have actually been very, 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 very humble.
All right.
Trying to obey the rules, trying to ensure that we follow the rules of the rules.
Okay, Mr. Alobi, now
the trigger can be pressed by anybody.
If I may come in now, Mr. Alobi, while we take a look at some of the solutions, I think it's also important we take a look at the cause or causes, as the case may be. And this is for Mr. Johnson. Now, there are insinuations, or people have said over time, that there might be people that benefit from this insecurity challenge. In fact, 3 times today, we had a former commissioner of police saying that politicians are responsible for banditry in the country. We had sound bites we played earlier, the Oni of Ife saying that, you know what, politicians cannot be trusted with this issue of community policing. And then another sound bite saying that there are people that actually benefit from the insecurity situation in the country. So as we take a look at the solutions, are we taking enough look at the causes also?
Yeah. The causal factor.
It's for Mr. Johnson, actually.
Okay, let me add to one of 2 things that my brother, Mr. Alobi, here said earlier. Look, even the judicial panel of inquiry does not exclude the police from doing their constitutional duty. It's their duty to investigate crimes, period. That is what the law says. That's what the Constitution says. Now, secondly, the issue of the letter that the army gave to their personnel, come on, man. This is not you give this kind of letter when you're in a foreign land. This is not the kind of letter you give to your personnel when you're in your own country. There is no distinction between police and the army. These are people from the same family. Are you surprised that an army officer can be married to a policewoman? Or a police officer can be married to an army officer? The 2 brothers, one can be a soldier, the other one can be a policeman. So are you saying that they should avoid each other? That letter to me, as far as I'm concerned, with all due respect, does not make any sense to me. What we need to be doing right now is try to find a way to calm people down, but the army should stop digging itself more and more into the hole because they want to continue to justify the initial position that they took. Now, coming back to your question, my brother, look, this country has a lot of problems. So much problems that the security situation in the country is not something that can be addressed overnight. Years and years and years and years of neglect of investment in the security sector is what has created the situation we are in right now. The police is underfunded and is undermanned, that they cannot even achieve their recruitment goal overnight. It has to be a consistent and a steady recruitment for them to bridge the gap between the number of citizens in this country and the number of police officers that are required to police them. So that is the reason why we find ourselves in a situation where the army is playing a very major role instead of playing supporting role in internal security, which is now led us to where we are today. I'm not going to put the whole blame on the politicians. I think all of us have a responsibility to our own security. The politicians, sure, they are the ones that drive the policies and stuff like that. but the whole blame is not on them. Even we ordinary citizens are not doing the little bit here and there that we're supposed to be doing. The institutions themselves are not helping us out. Everybody has a role to play when it comes to security. Not just the politicians, not just the security agencies themselves, but even the ordinary citizens themselves do have responsibility and they do have a role to play when it comes to security.
What role do you see for them, just quickly?
For citizens?
Ordinary citizens, yes.
Look, ordinary citizens have a responsibility to be law-abiding. I've had someone say that because there are no employments and people are hungry, therefore they are angry. Because they are angry, therefore they must commit crime. Come on. Nigerians are not the only place that people are hungry and angry. There are other places where people are unemployed. They are not running around, kidnapping people, attacking people, and things like that. This is not the first time we have been hungry. So why is it that we have this spike all of a sudden in criminal activities? So citizens need to obey the laws. Being hungry is not an excuse for you to break the law. Citizens have to report anything that they see that is out of place. They need to report it. If, in fact, that somebody called the army and gave them the information that the police may kidnap someone, you can see that it was deliberately done to mislead the military. And this is what led us to the situation where we are right now. That person who gave that call, is that person a responsible citizen of this country? That person is equally as culpable as the soldiers themselves. And that person needs to be apprehended and prosecuted for providing false information. So these are the responsibilities that ordinary citizens have, to security agencies.
Thank you very much.
To add to what you said.
I'm sorry, we're totally out of time, Mr. Alobi. I wish I could take closing comments from you, but we have to thank both of you for coming on Sunrise Daily this morning. The conversation is ongoing. I think until we see a logical conclusion to this one. We have to thank you both for coming on Sunrise Daily this morning. Mr. Lawrence Alobi is a former Commissioner of Police here in the Federal Capital Territory, and Captain Bish Johnson is a former U.S. Army officer and also a security consultant. Sunrise Daily continues in a moment. Please stay with us.